I'll be barracking for the Eagles tonight. Who would think that would ever happen?
Just before we start this one, down to Doc Larkin, some late news on Dale Thomas from that Collingwood VFL game today, Doc.
Yeah, look, the sad news was that he didn't get through the second quarter and was on crutches with the same aggravation of his right ankle off his scans, Brian. So a bad sign for Dale Thomas. He hoped to play the game today.
Yeah, Doc will update us on that as the night progresses as well. Stay tuned, but we're underway here at Patterson Stadium, and it's West Coast and Geelong. It'll be a pretty scrappy night, but both teams desperate. There's the 100 gamer. Wellingham with the first real kick of the game goes out wide. Mackey and Taylor combining. Kennedy was in amongst it. Quick handball, and now Motlop and Mackey, who so often tidy up between them. Bartel involved. Stokes a little fumble. Here comes Hill. Just pushed him out of the way. Had the fresh airy. Bartel steadies.
Yeah, good start there by the Eagles. Their forward half pressure has improved in the last month. They have been forcing more turnovers in that forward area, Das.
Yeah, and there's a matchup, Lingy, you're going to love. It's the two Selwood brothers. You can see there, head-to-head. Scott's got the tagging role, and big brother Joel. They'll go pretty hard at it, Lingy.
Sorry, Das, I did miss that one.
We'll come back to you in a moment. You wonder what they're thinking there, Das. It is an intriguing contest. The two Selwoods, Lingy, playing on each other at the moment.
Yeah, the two brothers would love that. I've never seen two more competitive blokes, and they will not give each other an inch. They will just bash each other, and one of them will want to walk off the end of the game with a big smile on their face and one up over their brother.
Sarves back in the side here tonight as well for the Cats. Made a couple of changes. Murdoch also coming in. Hawkins and Stringer, the two outs for them in this side tonight. Shuey and Carter in for the West Coast. Wilson Lacroix out of the side. So a couple of changes.
Both teams have had started with a loose man back. Darren Glass is loose. Andrew Mackey for Geelong, and you could just see Glassy there. If he's allowed to be loose, he'll just set up as the last man and just patrol things. So they want to man that up, the Cats.
Indeed. Kick inside 50. Varney was able to get the fist there. Varco, Bartel and Duncan all combined to assist the clearance. Opportunity there, Murdoch. He got a really ordinary bounce, and now Mackenzie, one of the most reliable defenders in the business. And once again, look at the Cat numbers here. Just behind the foot as they carry the footy. Mackey's kick wasn't great, but Motlop is able to make... He's looking to sell candy there. He couldn't do it. Kick around the body. Relies on the spin and bounce. And measured it perfectly.
What about that from Stevie Motlop? He's just a genius, and he runs hard. It's the thing you don't really see until you see him live, is that he gets through because he really gut runs now, and he's turned himself into one of the more dangerous small forwards in the game, and that was a bit of freaky skill.
This man here, he's one of the most improved players going around, young Stevie Motlop. Really added something to this Geelong team. He's got something special about him, as has Nick Natanui, who's unfortunately not out there tonight. Would have loved to have seen him.
Rain threatening here again at the moment. It's getting a little more ominous as it approaches from the south, as it has done in Sheets all day. Selwood off one step, got it inside 50. Stevie J wanted the free. Kennedy was there. There is Motlop, as Dar said. Does it at both ends, runs and works hard. Varco at halfback, measures the footy to Podsy Adley. Little one over the top to Selwood. Selwood, longish handball. Did it nicely. Opportunity here for Rivers to bang it long and deep. Gee, Duncan could have got a free there. Christensen, a handball. Duncan recovers brilliantly. Offline with the kick, though.
Just want to look at the last centre bounce here. Young Nathan Vardy's a player I rate really highly, but he's coming up against one of the best ruckmen in the last 25 years. And he'll get a bit of a lesson today if he doesn't understand that Cox will change it up all the time. You just see there, Cox just decided if you're going to jump early, I'll just step around you. So it's going to be a really good challenge for Vardy tonight. He's coming up against one of the absolute best in the business.
Intriguing battle there. Keep an eye on that. Here's Shuey. Couldn't control it. Johnson, Christensen, needed someone in support. Got Stokes. Stokes grabs it around the corner. 2 for the Cats.
Matty Stokes having a really good year, and they already look like they've got a real advantage at ground level, the Geelong team, once it goes in. They're really rolling all of their numbers up the ground and then running back in waves. And when you've got Motlop, Stokes, Varco running back with a footy, and you've got room to move, which they have here, it spells danger for the Eagles.
Always one of the big things you want to do when you play interstate is get off to a good start. It just takes the air out of the crowd. It makes interstate sides just really feel as though they've got a challenge on their hands. So brilliant start here for the Cats.
Chris Scott hasn't been great at this venue, just 1 win and 3 losses, and that would be a rarity for him to have a record like that at any ground, but he does have that at this ground. Kennedy over the top of the ball. Wellingham, little fast, swift handball back to Kennedy. Wellingham didn't have it. He'll get the free here.
Thanks, Joel. Thanks, Joel. Play there. Play on.
Quite heavy in that spot where he's standing there. Wellingham goes inside 50. Pack flies the punch away. Kennedy, the front and centre, looking to dish it out to Dalziel. He had to capture him in the tackle. Umpire said he fell into the back of him. And Stokes.
2 different forward lines tonight. We know the Eagles rely heavily on taking marks, Kennedy and Darling down there. Whereas the Cats already look really dangerous at ground level.
What a kick from Motlop.
How smart was that? Unbelievable understanding of how to play the game.
It was indeed. And look at this. Look where it is as a result of that smartness. It's inside 50 and Geelong have got West Coast worried here. They had the numbers, but they couldn't quite pull it off. Prentice has got to be strong. He's got the free.
What you just saw there is what Geelong are the best at in the competition. That's getting it, Richo, from half-back all the way inside 50. They do it better than any other team because they kick it well and they take risks.
Wellingham handball. It hit the deck. Dalziel able to pocket it up. The kick wasn't so good. Made it easy for Harry Taylor, who just mungles it out wide to Duncan. Gee, the Geelong players are really pushing from one end to the other at the moment, aren't they?
Yeah, it's a real game of transition at the moment, and Darcy's spot on. What Geelong do so well is they always keep the ball moving. It doesn't have to be, you know, leg speed. It's just quickness of ball movement. Just always keep that ball in motion. Don't hold it up, and they're so good at it.
Cox wary of where Blitzarves was starting his approach there. Johnson. Head over the footy was Shepherd. And this one ain't going anywhere.
Guys, that transition that you're talking about there has been really well led by Trav Varco, Matty Stokes, Stevie Motlop, who've pushed right up deep into defence and are really carrying the ball, running through as hard as they possibly can. They're the ones kick-starting it.
Boy, have they ever, Lingy. They have been wonderful working right into defence, as you say. Not the required journey. Mackie told to go, and he does. And this is one of them as well. Duncan squirting the handball sideways. Bartel gives it back. Christensen here.
You just got to have huge work rate now to play half forward. You've got to roll right back into your defensive 50 and then push back down when you win the ball. It takes a lot of fitness and running ability to play half forward these days.
Dalziel did well. Handball slipped out to Smith, but he fumbled it. And now Murdoch has got it for the Cats around the corner. Really wide. Selwood there. Boundary line. He probably should have let it go over. He does in the end. And they'll lock it in their forward end here, the Cats. Kicking to the right of screen in this first quarter. Got the opening 2. Blitzarves and Cox. Schofield, Prentice. Prentice with a clearing kick, but I think it's going to come back end right. Takes the mark at half forward. Umpire tells Josh Kennedy to get out of the way, give him a little more room. Enright drives the ball long and deep. No marking opportunity here. Stokes gives it off. Opportunity. Christensen to the runner. Mackie. The sidestep was sweet. The 55-metre kick now on the way. Offline. Brown sends it over the line.
That man there on screen, Jimmy Bartel, as Richo pointed out at the start of the game, is still loose man in defence. I think John Worsfeld's got to react. They've got to make him accountable. He's too good a player, too smart at reading the ball to allow him to run his own race tonight.
Motlop again. Soccer out of the middle of the air. Podsy Adley making sure McKenzie didn't mark it.
I think the thing about someone like Bartel being loose, Darcy, he's not going to sit back and wait. He's going to get up and get involved. And sometimes as a loose man, you can sit back.
Look at that.
He'll know when to push forward and when not to.
Every player except a couple of pairs inside this 50. Little kick out of the pack here by Motlop. He's got it rolling again. He's kicked a couple.
He's just a freak.
Gets better every week, doesn't he?
It's just ridiculous. Every number was around that contest, and then he found space where there was no space, and just so clever.
Have a look.
It's been sent back. Lee, we're marvelling at Stephen Motlop's ability at the moment, and it was you a couple of weeks ago who told us just how good a runner he's become. He really covers the ground incredibly well, doesn't he?
He does. He's an elite runner, brilliant 400-metre type runner on the burst, and you can see that in action. When he gets up in that middle part of the ground, he heads back towards goal a million miles an hour. Quality young player.
Brutus over the top. Selwood ends up with it. 55 out, slotting ball. Really good position for Darling. He really should have hung on to that. Opportunity for McKinney at ground level. Tries to shrug the tackle. Got the handball out. Shepherd, an opportunity around the corner. And he misses.
Darcy, you asked the question earlier about Joel Selwood playing on Scotty Selwood. Well, we found out that Joel has played 12 times against one of his brothers, and he's only lost the one game. So at the moment, Joel's got all the bragging rights and the last laugh, so he'd want to keep that one going tonight.
Also got reported for whacking one of his brothers in round 20 last year, I think.
No rules. Have a look at this. Another one over the top. Guess who? Stokes.
Just
opportunity.
Getting smashed on the transition, BT.
Josh Walker here. A beautiful position. What about that to Blitzarves? Vardy runs away and kicked the goal. But what about the kick to advantage? Geelong have kicked 4 in a row.
Oh, great work by that man there, Nathan Vardy, playing in the ruck. He just got on his bike. He knew that the Cats were going to win the footy, and he pushed hard forward. And he was on his own for a long time in the corridor, and they are just smashing the West Coast Eagles on the transition. As Lingy was talking about, guys like Motlop pushing right up to the half-back line. They're winning the ball back, and then they've got the skill level to hold on to it all the way.
Look at this kick. This one here was to the advantage of Blitzarves.
Yeah. And the hard run from the big boy as well, BT, was absolutely superb. Nothing better when you're ruckman and you get to run all the way back after you've kicked the goal and celebrate.
Gee, Vardy's going hard tonight. So a beautiful little up and under handball to Rivers. And won't they be happy, Lingy, to see Jared Rivers out there? What does he offer them? What are they looking for in the setup for Geelong when Jared Rivers is playing?
Yeah, they're absolutely rapt to have him back, BT. You're spot on there. It's his versatility. He can play on a tall. He's played as a tall defender most of his career, but he's also quick enough and agile enough to be able to play on the medium, small types as well. So it gives Geelong a lot of flexibility down back. It also allows Andrew Mackie to be at his creative best too. He doesn't have to have one of the key matchups.
Bartel wondering why he didn't receive the free there. The pot had it knocked away from him. Eagles with some numbers around. Butler eventually got the quick kick out of the pack, out wide. Schofield, also an elite runner at school level he was. Bartel onto Murdoch. Murdoch winds up on the left, a little chiseler. How about that? Duncan plays on, over the top. Another one here for the Cats. Walker gets it, 5 in a row.
She's got ugly early here, hasn't it? John Worsfold takes a sip of the water. He's calm and composed, but on the inside, he will be burning up big time. This is just an incredible performance. They've just come out of the blocks and kicked 5 straight and smashed this one wide open. And Josh Walker, only his 9th game of AFL footy, gets a little Joe the Goose over the top. Perfect start for Geelong.
It's just far too easy at the moment. Lingy, what's going on down there at ground level? Geelong have come out of the blocks hard, but just getting people loose everywhere.
Yeah, I think people are making really good decisions. They're backing the fact that their teammates are going to win it, and they're pushing forward hard and really hurting West Coast on the scoreboard. West Coast need a settler. They just need to get themselves back into the game, just slow things down a little bit. Geelong are dominating.
5 goals in 13 minutes. Goodness me, here's Blitzarves marking. Don't forget that 9th position. West Coast are looking, you just don't know what's going to happen in the competition with what's going on at Essendon, so there may be an opportunity there for someone outside the 8, who knows. And right wide finds Selwood. And there are many teams putting themselves in a position to benefit from that. Should it come? Stevie Johnson says calm down. Why, Stevie? You've kicked 5 and 13. Now Bartel, short ball back to Mackie. Every player, with the exception of that man, Bartel, is now 4 to the centre. Bartel down the middle, wanted Varco to come at the footy, couldn't do it. Christensen did, turned his man inside out, gave the handball to Duncan, who let it go from 50 metres out. Josh Hill in the defensive knock, gaff. Did he throw it? Gee, I reckon he did. I'm not sure it's a legal handball. Murdoch around the corner with a swinging ball, marked by Lysette.
Yeah, good effort from Lysette on the goal line. You just saw Harry Taylor there contesting deep in the goal square, and Lingy, that's the other advantage of Jared Rivers, is it probably gives them the chance to push Harry Taylor forward a little bit more often. Given Hawkins has got his back dramas, they might want to do that a bit more as the finals are approaching.
Yeah, Das, there's no doubt they're going to try and do that. I reckon any time they can get Harry Taylor forward, or even in just a run of play, they can push Harry forward as a pinch hitter type. It's a great weapon they've got, and Jared Rivers allows that. Jared Rivers allows Andrew Mackie to get freed up. Obviously, Tommy Lonergan's a quality defender. Just gives them flexibility. If things aren't going to plan in a game, especially in September, they can try something different.
Nice set in amongst it. Sure, he has driven a little forward in the tackle, although Selwood turned him at the last moment.
Just cannot get the hands on the ball and hold onto it for any period of time. The West Coast Eagles already plus 27 uncontested for Geelong. Right. They just need to get their hands on it and hold onto it for a few minutes, the Eagles here.
Just almost go the real automatic sort of slow play. See if they can get consecutive possessions. McGinnity there.
It's Geelong's pressure that's not allowing that, though, guys. They almost can't get a stop play where they've got a mark and can go and chip it down the line.
Joel Selwood, Geelong.
Blood rule here, guys, on Joel Selwood.
Blood rule coming towards...
that nose just permanently bleeds, I think,
Dr. Peter Larkins is with us. I wonder whether that man there did it to his brother. But, Doc, he does cut a bit, Selwood, doesn't he?
If you put your head over the ball as much as he does, there's a fair chance someone's going to have a whack at it. So he's had more headbands and nose blocks and things over time. So I think it might have been in the tackle there. Just it was the arm thrown back. So not his brother, but I'm sure they'll go clash again soon. Yeah,
accidental knock there. Gee, that's an ordinary boundary throw in. Lysette really had to run fast to his left to even make the fall of the footy. Stevie Johnson, players appealing, and boy, what are you supposed to do? Motlop penalised in the end, or Christensen it was by the look. Selwood the beneficiary. Now this is what Richo's talking about. Just a couple of kicks here, spread the defenders, Richo.
The only problem with that was they went backwards and Geelong just manned up so quickly that they actually didn't get any advantage out of it. Normally you'd want to try and switch that to the other side of the ground, but Geelong just blocked the exit on the other side. So they're switched on. As Lingy said, they're not letting the Eagles get any easy possession.
Sharp tonight, the Cats. Really sharp. Just in the last couple of minutes. Stopped the bleeding to some extent.
High tackle.
What they wanted to do there, BT, was the V-switch.
Oh, the V-switch. We might...
Thanks, John.
the V-switch.
Richo masterclass in the V-switch one night, I think.
Just want to go through all the theories.
We'll get the whiteboard out. We'll get the whiteboard out one night.
The V-switch is a beauty. It sounds nice. I can picture it. I think it'll look nice, and I think it's really a good tactic. Straight out of Tigerland early on. Here's Kennedy. Little one along the ground. Got to go and get it.
West Coast. McGinnity.
And McGinnity's got the footy. Just hurt himself a little there as Varco, in a friendly manner, hands the footy back. So let's see what they can do to here. Richo said dangerous to go backwards with the first kick.
Yeah, because the Geelong players are just manning them up so quickly. They're just conceding ground.
So at least they're hanging onto the footy in this one. Let's see what they can do, whether they can...
Got to try and get the ball moving forward now, though.
Yep, 5 or 6 possessions together. There it is. There's the angle kick that's got to work. Wellingham.
That was a good kick. Wellingham under a bit of pressure to hold that mark.
Shuey now. Pod's got a nice hand there that then copped the knee in the guts as well. Threw some hands here in the end. Delzeal to Selwood. Under pressure here, the big fella in the middle. Got rid of it just in the nick of time. Lysette. McKenzie trying to switch here to the fat side of the ground. Glass involved. Shepherd now juggling the tempt. He says slow down. So They've probably won the last 3 or 4 minutes.
Yeah. Just haven't been able to get it past centre-half forward here, though.
Kennedy, they definitely need his influence. Before this round started, was leading the Coleman, of course. I think the first West Coast player to be in that position since, I think it was Scotty Cummings who won the Coleman for West Coast.
Just got a tweet through BT as the free kick's going to be paid here. Matt Jones says, what's with Walker's jumper? Has he cut his sleeves off? That's weird. And he looks like he's wearing some sort of muscle top. Have a look at that. It's a high cut sleeve. He's taken the edge off his jumper.
Hasn't got the blue ribbing around the edge of it either, so
He mustn't have liked it.
it might be an illegal uniform. We could,
There it is.
in kids' game of footy, that would be a forfeit.
He's worked his jumper into more of a muscle top.
How's Matt Jones? He's just got it nailed there.
Schofield, you
Picked
can have
up
a
on
bit
that.
of a look at that. He starts his run up here from the perimeter piping. Schofield, players kick a lot of goals from here at training, and they get very used to that position. The first for the Eagles.
Yeah, well done, the Eagles. They maintained possession of the footy for 3 or 4 minutes and eventually got the ball moving forward. What a great finish from Schofield. As BT said in the call, that's where their race is, going down into their rooms. They'd come out of the race there at training, and that's where they'd have a lot of shots from. So he was pretty confident he could kick that, and what a nice shot.
Schofield kick, yeah, that's the position right in front of the West Coast race there, where the players would have a lot of kicks just before they complete training, perhaps before they start training. So they know that pocket well. Umpire Chris Camelins here tonight, getting it up. Varney goes over. Cox, Selwood involved. Quickly out of the middle, Wellingham, who is a class player, sends it long. Shepherd and Darling there. Shepherd was upended. G had his feet taken out. That's called tunnelling. And it is dangerous.
Tunnelling free kick. Bloke was in the end, you tunnelled him under.
Well, over at BT, picked up. That's an old basketball.
It is. It's a
tech foul in basketball, isn't it?
It is. It's a dangerous tech foul situation in basketball. You can be sent off for it. And here is the replay of it. Just moving your body underneath the player's backside when in the air.
Richo did a lot of tunnelling.
He didn't, a lot of tunnelling. Yeah, they used to in Little Burke Street there.
Yeah, you were a real life member there.
Yeah, did the drink cards down there. They were a thing of the past. But let's see if Dalziel has been practising from here, because the Eagles, as we said, their change rooms are right here. They come out and have a lot of shots from here.
From just inside the 50 for Dalziel for consecutive goals to give this stadium some hope. That is close. I think Cox is going to be paid the mark, or is it over the line? Now the umpires are conferring here.
I just want to check whether the mark is over the line.
So he thinks it's a goal.
Score review, please.
The goal umpire has said he thinks it's a goal.
We want to check that the mark is completed.
And I think he's right. He is definitely right.
Coxie's having none of it. He wants to go back and claim
He wants the kick. Well, big Coxie, give it back, mate.
Just
because
let you
she's
get through this, Jimmy.
going back to the middle here. And that is conclusive. I know it can be an optical illusion from that angle, Dars, but it does look conclusive to me that is a goal.
You need the goal line camera to be absolutely
Review complete.
certain of it.
Umpire's call. A goal.
Clear goal.
So there you have it. Really good stuff here for the Eagles. 2 goals in a row, and they've cut it back to 18 points.
And they've done it by doing exactly what Richo said. They just controlled the footy for a little bit. They used that kick and mark type of play, just settled the game back down and just got it back onto their terms a little bit. Now they've kicked a couple of goals. They're back in this game. West Coast really well played, really mature footy there.
So a 3-goal lead here.
Well, one thing the Eagles have done in the last 5 minutes is they've decided we're not going to let the Cats have a loose player anywhere. The Cats were rolling a half forward up around on the wing, and McGinnity was just staying back as a loose man, trying to pick him up on the way through. Now they've just decided we're just going to go one-on-one everywhere, and I think that's better for them.
West Coast free kick to Wellingham. Sharon Wellingham.
So this is looking much brighter for the Eagles. Wellingham able to gain a few valuable metres. That is an excellent kick to Darling. He really came at the ball with speed. Schofield got it off to Hill. Hill got it away as well. Dalziel was there. Now the Cats arrive on Mash. Mackie forced a kick. Stumpy little kick. Vardy down on all twos. Wellingham again. Crowd starting to get involved. They had them out of the game here early, the Cats.
Selwood. The Selwood battle. Scotty Selwood's had 10 and Joel's had 5. Joel was off getting his nose fixed up, but good start by Scotty.
Oh, funny little dig in there.
Just a little bit happening under the pack there. The intensity of the West Coast Eagles has just gone up a good 10% here, and they've really got themselves back on the scoreboard, but just their work rate really has lifted.
Enright. Eventually they get a bit of footy here. Motlop backing back. Quick soccer by the pod. Got it to Stokes. In front of Varco. Varco the 2-5. Shepherd as well. Shepherd went past the footy. Thank goodness for Mackenzie. Glass and Butler combined now. This is good run. Butler sending the ball wing bound. Over the head it goes. They need to keep pushing the Eagles. Taylor, who's fumbled a couple tonight. Hill said, get out of the way. Lysette there as well. In the end, Bartel. Cool.
At least the Cats half-backs now are having to try and exit under pressure, and they're turning it over, and West Coast can get him here on the rebound.
Cox. Inside 50, a really good kick by Cox. It hit the deck. The umpire called play on. I think it was Schofield in there. It was. Mackie was partially dedacked. Eventually, Geelong out in the middle of the ground. Beautiful clean hands there from Motlop. His handball not great. Shuey got on the end of it. He's not great. Guthrie and Stokes. Back to Enright. Short little footy.
Since they decided to go one-on-one all over the ground, the Geelong half forwards were coming up and they were loose, and then they couldn't pick them up on the way back through. But it's one-on-one everywhere now, and the Cats can't get that ball movement going.
Lysette. I noticed Josh Hunt tonight, Lingy, is an emergency for the Cats. Who's he battling with for a position in this side, do you think?
But I reckon Cam Guthrie's probably holding him out at the moment, and Chris Scott's been pretty clear that if it's a 50-50 decision, he'll go with the younger player. So backing in Cam Guthrie at the moment there.
Okay, giving him an opportunity. Stevie J inside without authority.
Geez, Darce, I've noticed Vardy's really trying to push hard forward when he's on Dean Cox. He should have got that ball then. It would have been his second goal.
Yeah, it's a pretty brave effort from Vardy to do that. I mean, Cox is an unbelievable athletic runner, Richo, and good on him. He's really taken it up to one of the best players that's played in the ruck for a long period of time. He started pretty well, Vardy.
There's Lysette, basically at that half-back position. Wide to Button. That's a risky kick. Murdoch's going to get on the end of this. Now what does he do? Could have gone for home with the skidder. Bartel, a little poker out the side, looking for Vardy. Vardy and Mackenzie, and Mackenzie just nurses him over the footy, and Pole drives him into the Toyota sign.
Just put his hand up, Jimmy Bartel, really annoyed with himself. He had enough time to hit that target, and you don't see him miss too often, Jimmy Bartel, but just a little wave to Vardy. So sorry about that one.
Kelly, Shuey, surely taken forward in the tackle there. Really unlucky. Quick kick, Selwood, goal. Gee, they're unlucky there. Cats have got their 6th.
Been in good goal-kicking form, Joel Selwood. In his first 150 games, Richo, he only kicked 3 goals once. He's done it 3 times in the past 4 weeks. So he's really getting forward, getting on the scoreboard, which is a great thing. To have that to the complete player that he is, to now be kicking big bags of goals is incredible.
He's kicked 2 bags of 3s and 1 of 4 in the last 4 games. So he's got a real taste for it at the moment, the goal kicking. And that was a lovely little gift just in the goal square. Don't you love those? Handball in the goal square.
Guys, just looking at the interchange rotations really quickly, Geelong's almost doubled or over-doubled West Coast in interchange rotation. So they're making sure they get really fresh blokes on the ground, and that might play a part come the end of the game because it is a hard slog given the conditions.
In the middle, Christensen trying to muscle it out. Stevie J. Not sure he actually made contact with that handball. He dispossesses Lysette though. Went and got it. Wellingham did likewise to him. Now Shepherd inside 50. Here they go again. Schofield caught behind. Mackie's done really well in this game so far. Kennedy's in the hunt here as they lock it in and under. And I don't think that one will come out. We'll ball it up. This, by the way, one of the rare times that Fremantle supporters, Das, will be barracking for West Coast. The Dockers need the Cats to lose in order to enhance their top 2 prospects, of course.
Still goes against everything Dockers supporters stand for. They'll be doing it begrudgingly.
Yep, absolutely. Little one around the corner. I think it was Shepherd involved again.
Matty Stokes is right back there. He was the last player on the ground at full forward line for you. He's playing at half forward, starting on the wing, and he's getting right back and helping out his defence. If they win the ball here, he'll run through without anyone on him, Matty Stokes.
Cox, great front position there. Johnson, funny little handball. I don't reckon he's got a left-hand handball in him, Stevie J. He just doesn't.
Here he is. He'll get it here, Stokes.
Strange sort of way. And there he is. Stokes to Varco. Varco tries to draw the player. He didn't come fully committed. Vardy there couldn't control it. Glass did well to work it through the front. That's 17 seconds.
That's what they've got to watch, because if he drifts down into defence and then has the ability to run the length of the ground with Stokes, he'll link up and get 2 or 3 possessions. That's what they were doing early in the game.
So at the moment, a 24-point margin. Here's Stokes again. There's time for a quick one here for the Cats with just 10 seconds in the quarter remaining. Brown is there. What does he do? Do you go? Do I go? I don't know. We all got the shivers and none of us went in the end. And they escape. A withering burst at the start of this game saw the Cats with 5 consecutive goals before West Coast kicked the next 2. And at quarter time, Geelong lead it by 24 points, 6-1-37 to the Eagles, 2-1-13. Geelong by 24 points here at quarter time over the West Coast Eagles, 6-1-37 to West Coast, 2-1-13. You can see Selwood with 11 touches, Christensen has 10. You can see Chris Scott down there on the ground. This is at quarter time. Really got into the ear of Joel Selwood here, boys, and was... What do you think he was saying, Das?
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? He's got a hard match-up at the moment. His brother came to him and had a fair bit of attention. So it's just something he wanted to pull him aside, and it might have been just that. Hey, this is a run with roll. We've got push forward at some stage. You kick the goal. We think you can do that again tonight. He probably just saw a little thing he could give a bit of feedback on.
Yeah, just looking at the Geelong, they've got huge numbers, 111 disposals. They just get involved. They move the ball, they share it around, they keep it in motion, everyone gets involved, and they're just running the Eagles around at the moment.
What did you make of it, Lingy, the first quarter?
Terrific start by the Cats. They were sharp early, but this is just a little thing I love. This bloke's only playing his 17th game. He was a steeplechaser before this, but just the confidence of Mark Blitzarves. Good grab here, just sees an option in the middle of the ground, pulls the trigger to Corey Enright. That's just incredible that a bloke has been given that sort of confidence by his coach and by his team and the way he's been trained up in the only 17th game of AFL footy to back himself like that and hit a target. Just really incredible story, Mark Blitzarves.
One thing you notice about their younger players like Christensen and Motlop, they don't seem to make mistakes. They've got such poise for guys, Das, that have played 40 and 50 games respectively.
They play like 150 gamers, and that is why this system at Geelong and the development of their players makes them an incredible side.
They've got great work rate as well. Lingy was talking about the running ability of these guys. They get the ball because they work hard. Here he is.
That's why they've won 133 of their last 162 games at 82% win rate. Remarkable stuff. Butler's got to work hard backwards, and that's a deliberate little kick around the corner to gain a bit of ground. Now the umpire's going to... No, he's not. Dean Margetts would normally be all over that.
He's getting pushed as well.
He likes to get involved, Dean Margetts. Was that 133 of 100? How many did you say, BT? 160?
162, yeah.
There has never been a period in the game where a side has won at that rate. It is just incredible.
Yeah, remarkable stuff here. Curtis Selwood was the smotherer. Wellingham, the kick and run, Union style. Shuey and Enright go at it. Hill's in amongst it there as well. Stokes. Over the top of the footy, there was Rivers. Good crowding again, as always here. 34,000 in here tonight. To see the Eagles try and hang on to an unlikely finish inside the 8, but to just give themselves an opportunity should it present.
They're going to go hard all night, aren't they, those two?
Just a gentle little push there from Joel, just to make sure he knows he earned that kick.
the gentle push. He kicked him in the head. And then he's giving him a spray, the younger brother, on the way out the back as well.
And then he said to the umpire, that was a softie. You go, we do that in the backyard all the time. No one pays it there. Mum called play on. Priddis, Bartel.
Says they would have had some good fights, the Selwood brothers, wouldn't they? You know, imagine that in the backyard. Look at this. This is after he copped a little accidental kick in the head and just a bit of a neck massage.
We had Joel on game day a few weeks ago, and apparently when he comes to Perth, Joel, he actually walks around and calls himself Scott, just to
cash
get a
in
free,
on
get a free coffee down in Subiaco or Cottesloe.
Good boy. Stevie J. Made some ground there, Stevie J, getting the congratulations from his teammates. Picked up 30 metres, as good as a kick, and now they have it in a real attacking position. Half-back launch. Love to launch from here. Motlop.
Look at Motlop go after he gives that off. He'll keep running here.
Yeah, running up the middle. Look at him, Motlop. He'll come into the picture at the moment behind Duncan. Duncan paddles. If he'd come back, you would have just seen him.
There he is.
There he is. Motlop right there. He's got it. Started it in the back pocket and looks to finish it in the forward pocket. High ball to the square. Was it touched? McKenzie waits for someone to arrive.
He would have broken the Australian record for 300 metres there. That was unbelievable to watch him run like that.
That is someone. This is out on the full.
Yep.
Oh, it was too.
Yep.
He kicked that ball at centre-half back. He ran 150 metres at full pace to come down and get that. That's just desire and work rate to get across and get another possession. Look at him, he's knackered now.
That was remarkable running. Really good. Well picked. And he's going to have one more go before he comes off, I think. The full length he ran there. No one going with him. Blitzarf's beautiful tap down there. No one was there, but in the end, another little handball to Vardy. Gave it to Selwood. Schofield didn't quite get him. Selwood got boot to footy. McKenzie the kicker. Good look down the ground.
Play on.
Pretty full stadium here tonight. Goes long. Rivers nudging himself under the footy. Here's Wellingham. Picks it up, sees space in front. Degree of difficulty was high. Kennedy didn't let him down either. In front of Mackie. Goes on his left. 3 Eagles there. They just need to keep it running forward rather than hold it up. Shuey tried to suck it in. Hill was there as well. A free kick to the Cats for a high tackle. Advantage paid. Harry Taylor, native to this particular state, north of Perth, up there near, I think, Geraldton, Northampton way. Will kick out the side from Butler. And now Smith, told to go by the umpire, so Geelong come at him. He goes wide and finds Priddis. So once again, careful going forward here. Another West Coast, Enright with a punch away.
There's John Worsfold on screen. They got jumped in this game. It was the first 5 goals kicked by Geelong, and they just didn't get their matchups right at the start, Richo. They allowed Jimmy Bartel loose, which is something that happened for too long. They've adjusted now, and I feel like they're back in the game, but at the start it was just all on Geelong's terms. It just ended up being a fairly big blowout with 25 points.
Well, they let the Geelong half forwards roll up to the wings, and they didn't go with them, and they just got their hands on the ball coming back the other way, and it chopped up the Eagles. It's 1-on-1 now, and they're in the game.
Gaff to the 50. Kennedy looking for a stride. Got a bit of clean ground there to run and jump at the footy, then immediately goes into the pocket, which favours Cox. One hand on it, keeps it alive. Cox, handball back into Schofield. Shuey there.
Interesting watching Josh Kennedy. He's actually a really good field kick. He takes 1 or 2 steps, got a good action, and looks as though he can deliver a 60-metre pass without any dramas, but put him in front of goals and he gets that stutter happening every time.
It's not easy, Das. You've got to have something special to be able to stand in front of the goal time after time. Just ask the big fella next year. The V-switcher, Richo. There's Kennedy. Shoveled it out to Butler. Butler on the left. Real tough one to get around the body.
He hasn't had a real look at it inside 50 tonight, Josh Kennedy. He's had to come up the ground to take a couple of marks this quarter. Just put enough pressure on there, James Kelly, to force the kick wide.
Just a little mini stalemate here in this game at the moment. 6.5 minutes expired in the second quarter. A bit of a goal-kicking frenzy in the first, but West Coast have been able to put on the skids here. Motlop finds Murdoch. Murdoch loves to run. Powerful runner is Murdoch. Good kick too, I reckon. Corey said he ran off the mark. Gee, I reckon they might have pushed him off the mark. Back inside. Motlop again this time. The lead up here from Vardy is really good. And Vardy marks.
I think it's
good subs, that is.
Good subs, is it? Yep.
That kick into the corridor, it just opens up the 50 for the forwards. You've got, all of a sudden, if it comes around the boundary, you've only got one place to lead, but if you come through the middle, you've got so many more options as a forward.
Good serves from right on 50, sprays it to the right.
Yeah, that build-up was just classic Geelong, wasn't it? 82%. They've won their games over the last 160, the stat Bristol had before, and you've seen that so many times, what you pointed out. Play on, come back through the corridor, and just split sides open.
They have the confidence to pull the trigger and come into the middle, even if there's only, you know, a player in there with a tiny bit of room, they'll go for it. Whereas a team less confident, they don't pull the trigger, it doesn't open up for you.
Yeah, that 133 games they've won since 2007, Das. Only two other teams have won over 100 games in that same time, and that is Collingwood and Hawthorn, as we see a little throw there. Collingwood and Hawthorn, the only other two teams to win over 100 games in that period.
Yep.
And some light rain, I think, Lingy, we've got out there now.
Certainly is, BT. A bit of rain coming down. The conditions are slippery anyway, so it won't change things too much, but if it gets much heavier than this, it'll make it even more of a slog. But at the moment, players are that skillful, they'll be able to handle conditions like this.
Yeah. We just love it because we know you're out in it. Now, mark taken as the ponchos go on here at Subi.
Actually not a bad ground to be a boundary rider though, BT, because you can see in the background there, they've got the old-fashioned dugouts here.
Yeah.
Spot on, Richo. Happy for rain in Perth. It's all good. It's nice and snug down here.
Tell you what, it's sheeting down at the moment. As Cripps from the 50 is sent it to the right-hand side, and that'll be lucky to be a score, I would have thought. It's out of bounds on the full.
Lingy, in this great era that you're a massive part of, your starts to games, for me, feel like you've blown sides away in the first quarter so many times. Has there been a special focus, or has it just been you've been good enough to do it?
No, we know the start of the game is important. I think it was a really big focus for Geelong tonight, talking to a couple of their officials, that they really focused on taking the crowd out of the equation tonight. If they can get off to a really, really good start, just shut the crowd up a little bit, and then they settle into the game from there, it'll be really important and go a long way to winning the game. So they do have a focus on it, and at the moment they managed to nail it tonight.
Mission that the crowd do actually play a part in games of football there. Often we hear footballers say that it doesn't matter and they don't hear it. But from Lingy's account there, it does matter.
Not James Kelly's best effort there, but no, I think you don't hear individual comments out in the ground, that's for sure. But the big thing you do notice is when the crowd is really pumping and really supporting a team, and especially as parochial and one-sided as the crowd is here, you can sense it a lot when you're out there.
Taylor, Hodgie Adderley and Kelly.
Harry Taylor, just flung him after Josh.
So this kick will go to Harry Taylor.
Not a bad result for the Eagles. They've got to go retrieve the ball now, so they've got plenty of time, as you can see on your screen there, to get as many numbers back as they can.
Well, those players you see in that picture there, they're all the players. There's no other players hiding anywhere else. That's all of the players, basically.
Harry hasn't got a lot of options here. Just has to go long.
So everyone in the picture there. Over the back, I think it might have been Lysette that got the punch away. Wellingham ran straight over the top of the footy. Guthrie, gee, I reckon it went out of bounds. Got the handball off to Christensen. Back inside to Guthrie. Little kick around the body to the near side.
That was really interesting there. We saw that wide shot and Harry Taylor decided to kick it down the line. Andrew Mackey was in the middle of the ground and he wanted the ball to be switched his way, and Jared Rivers came up and stood in the wrong spot. And he's got a great cook from Andrew Mackie then. He's just saying, mate, you're not going to be used there. Get out of the space. And Rivers hasn't played the Geelong system often, and he's getting a bit of a quick lesson on how they want to do it right here at the moment.
Only his 5th game, Darcy, for Geelong, so he's still getting used to it, I guess.
You mean the winning system, Darcy?
Yeah, that's right.
Here's Bartel, launches, top of the square, discipline kick. Players know where it's going. They line up for the crumb here. Gaff, just a little gimme one along the corner. Danger here. Kelly through traffic, got a clean look. And he is able to thread the goal. So they break the little mini drought.
James Kelly, what a gun he's been for Geelong, and just weaved his way out of traffic there and floated one through. Probably shouldn't have been able to have as much room as what he did there, James Kelly. I think he was surprised himself. Floated one through. The Eagles had held, been pretty competitive. That just breaks the drought now.
Eagles at the back. Dalziel was able to hang on to that one right on the AFL logo. Kick across the ground, dangerous. Rivers did well to cut it. There, Blitzarves, McGinnity. Now Brown's got to go hard, and he did at the ground level quick. Thinking by Selwood out to Butler. Butler, little kick. Opportunity here for Smith. Dropped a pretty easy one. Got Varco all over him. And he's won himself a free.
Yeah, absolutely. Had prior opportunity. Didn't dispossess the ball with any efficiency. That was holding the footy as the pod comes up and attacks that one. Well, you just having a look at it from a West Coast point of view at ground level. I mean, feels like a long way back here, 32 points. Is there any obvious move you could see?
Off the West Coast shin?
It's a long way back for West Coast, there's no question of that. I think they're paying a free kick here, James Podsiadly.
Out of bounds on the full, I think, Lee, off the shin. But any move that jumps out here, Lee?
No, I think they need to get the run that Geelong's got through the middle part of the ground. I'll come back to that in a second, Darce.
Varco, just a handball back into the zone, hoping that a Geelong player could get on it. What a great little touch from Corey, allowing Duncan to go at the footy, and then he got one in the head.
I reckon one problem that the Eagles have is they've got both of their goals from set shots. Geelong have had most of theirs from play. They just rely on marking far too much at the moment to kick their goals, the Eagles. And on a wet night like tonight, you have to find more goals from general play, and that could be an issue in this game.
So there was that one there, and then there's that collision there. Duncan. So the trip was the paid free kick, nicely measured kick, just offline in its final moments of flight.
BT, you asked what I think West Coast should do or need to change around a little bit. I'm a little bit with Richo that just try something different. Maybe go smaller in the forward line, try and bring them up the ground, similar to what Geelong did, and then try and turn the Geelong opponents around and have a real race back towards goal. Try and just do something to unsettle the likes of Rivers and Mackie and Lonergan and Taylor, who are setting up behind the ball.
Rivers, ball in. Difficult to take marks in these conditions. Rain has stopped here.
But they've got 3 tools in the forward line at the moment: Darling, Kennedy and Schofield, as well as Josh Hill, he's a marking player. It's going to be tough work because it's slippery.
Johnson knew exactly where that footy was going then, I reckon. I think it was Blitzarves in the ruck that was able to get her. And G. Motlop had a big swing at it. Almost collected McGinnity. Kelly with a little poker out of the pack. 3 in a row, 2 in this quarter for the Cats.
2 in a row for James Kelly. Be absolutely wrapped with that. It's an on-baller heading back to the middle. It's a good feeling. Look at that, going back to the middle. You've got Stevie Johnson, Joel Selwood, James Kelly. Makes it tough for the Eagles, and a young ruckman in there in Blitzarves.
There's the attempt by Motlop, missed, but it cleared the way and almost got all the players out of the way, allowing Kelly to do that.
I'm pretty sure Mitch Duncan was happy he didn't reach out a little bit further there and cop that one.
That's the setup they got in the centre. Selwood, Johnson, Kelly, Blitzarves the Cats.
And how good is the midfield goals? James Kelly's kicked a couple. We've had Joel Selwood kick one. Vardy kicked one as a ruckman. Stokes pushing up as a high half-forward midfielder's kicked a goal. Motlop is sort of your half-forward midfield. They're all midfield running goals, aren't they? It's incredible.
Vardy kicked his goal when he was playing in the ruck.
Yep. Britis had to be precise there, and he was, to Mackenzie. Now he's got to go for a little bit of open space, and Harry Taylor attacked the footy, got that off the knee, and got it back in the Pods direction. A great little flick from Podsy Adley to Motlop. Did really well. Stevie J on the left boot. Gives an opportunity for Selwood. Delzil beats him to the ball and happy for the boundary. As we take a look at that from Kelly, I thought it was off his knee, but he actually got a little fist on the ground to work it forward quite deliberately there, Harry.
Got good purchase on it, didn't he, with a little underhand flick, gained 45 metres back his attacking direction.
Alan Christensen's just wandered onto the ground, and no Eagles player has seen him yet. He's just going to wander into the 50 on his
Just
own.
in your foreground there. There he is, number 28.
Man him up pretty quickly. Oh, they've spotted him now. Sharad Wellingham's pointed him out.
That's the sort of one when you just sneak on the ground, you just hope like hell there's going to be a kick come out your way and you can get a...
Stevie J loves sneaking on Lingy.
Oh, he's great. Sometimes I've seen him run along the boundary line.
I've seen him hide behind posts and all sorts of things, Stevie. Sometimes I saw him one day at the G pretend he was doing the warm-up as the player on the bench running up and down the boundary line. He was actually on the ground.
He's a cheeky one. He just thinks laterally, and we love that. In fact, he sees the game before everyone else sees it. He's a genius.
Yeah, he's a fair way ahead, that's for sure. A little bit of a push there from Rivers.
It's pretty big this for the Cats tonight. They've come out by 39 points, but you look at the draw, they've got 2 home games to come. A win tonight, they've just about guaranteed themselves top 2.
Last 2 games at Geelong, is it?
Yep. And Shuey got banged by Guthrie initially. Breaks out of the pack with a footy somehow. Gives it off to Smith, who launches from 45, but tugged it left. Or was it Wellingham? Might have been. It was indeed. Sharad Wellingham. The former Pie.
Got a similar do, Smith and Wellingham, haven't they?
Yeah, he's only played, this being his 8th game of the year this year, Wellingham, so he's had a shocking run with injury.
He's had a good last month, though, Wellingham, BT. He's kicked 6 goals, averaged 22 possessions. He's starting to find his feet, this West Coast side.
Duncan Tavarco. Kelly works the footy forward. Gee, Selwood glided around his man. Then he's got the skid factor going. And he goals Selwood.
Well, it's a clear difference in this game is their ability to kick goals from play. Midfield goals, crumbing goals. They're not relying on marks inside 50, Geelong. Whereas down the other end, if they don't mark the football, they're not going to score the Eagles, and it's just a huge difference in this game. 2 goals for Joel Selwood. Again, multiple goals. And that's 4 out of his last 5 games, multiple goals.
He's a goal-kicking machine now, Joel
Loving it, isn't
Selwood. 12 goals, 4 he's kicked in the last 5 games. Still got another half of this game to go.
You get a taste through kicking goals, Dust.
He loves it.
So back in the middle, Wellingham. Little spinning kick out of the pack.
The Eagles are they've got to try something different up forward.
Side 50. And collision of players here. Rivers and is it just checking? Is it Lonergan?
Yeah, Lonergan down there.
Yeah.
Almost like he was just holding the jaw just to see.
That did not look good. Kelly marks. Lonergan.
He's got up pretty quickly.
Yeah, just got the thumbs up from the trainer there, which is good.
Doc, Motlop and Lonergan, what do you think?
Yeah, I think Lonergan will be right. He's pretty tough. Motlop's complaint of tightness in his lower right hamstring. He's getting work just on the boundary right next to us here, BT.
So, Doc, do you risk someone like Motlop in that situation? Are they happy to get him through and just know that it's going to be okay?
Obviously, they'll take the first approach of trying to free it up and just see if it's tight. And if it doesn't resolve, they won't risk him, no.
Corey. Kelly to Varco, got the run as well from Stokes. Demanded the footy then, Stokes. Got it inside 50. Duncan's now got to beat Butler in the one-on-one. Can he turn him inside out? Butler did well. Harassed to the boundary.
You call what you said then, BT, demanded the footy, and they do demand it, the Geelong midfielders, and they always get it, and it's reward for effort. If you don't reward the guy who runs, he doesn't run as hard next time, and the Geelong side, they always share the footy around. It just encourages you to keep running as hard as they do.
Blitzars caught behind there. McKinney closes that gap.
I reckon sometimes you can get carried away with...
Dived on it. Different. Dived on the ball.
The leg speed and how quick you're running with the footy. It's how quick the ball's moving. So they just always keep the ball in motion, Geelong. That's why they have high disposals. 183 to Geelong at this stage to 140 West Coast Eagles.
Initially pointed the wrong way then, the umpire. So Vardy's got the free here. Just a little bit of confusion with the players. Now Mackie from the point of the square goes inside 50 with a deep penetrating ball at Glass, the skipper. You're encouraging Glass to go on next year, Darcy, the coach?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. No, he's still completely very much a talented player. He's such a good one-on-one player, Darren Glass. You'd love him to keep going. I reckon he's got at least 2 more years left in him, barring any significant injury.
There's Walker, the man that's altered his own jumper. It may well get a please explain. He's taken the little blue hoops off the armpit area.
Turned it into a muscle top.
Do you reckon it was a long sleever and he's cut it off? Or
I've never seen that before, ever.
Why would you just take that little blue bit off?
That's strange.
That's my mission at halftime, boys. I'll go and find out. I'm going to ask the hard questions.
I reckon it was a long sleever he's just cut off. Why would you just take a centimetre off?
Richo, our fashion guru. I reckon you're all over it, guru. Took him on then and has been penalised.
Geelong's 9 goals. Every one of them's been from play.
Don't lead with your head.
So
umpire said don't lead with your head then.
That's interesting feedback, isn't it? I don't think there's a rule that says that, but the players, because of the sliding rule, have adapted to doing that, and I'm not sure that's a really good thing.
Down the line, Schofield. Back door, Lysette. Upended, searching footy, finds Johnson. Got one on his left, one on his right.
Great kick.
Well, was Christensen will handball over the top to Pod. Geez, in a heavy part of the ground, he picks it up. Pod went the banana, and he's got... No, he hasn't. What he went? Yes, he has. Well, he has got it. So they kicked 4 in a row in this second quarter. And I thought his body language there indicated he wasn't happy with himself, but he was saying to himself, well done.
Yeah, just congratulating himself. The Pod, this is just an absolute smashing now. And I know West Coast have had injuries, they've had their difficulties, but almost everyone I know had them in the top 4 and probably playing in a grand final this year. Rich, it's been a really disappointing year all round. They've routinely been beaten at home, which is something that just has never happened to West Coast teams. And they've turned up tonight with a good side in reasonable form, coming off a big win, and got absolutely smashed in this first half. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, they've been outrun and outworked tonight and out-tackled when that shouldn't be the case when you've had nearly 50 less disposals, but Geelong have had 12 more tackles as well, so just the hungrier team tonight.
Mitch Brown, half-back, short ball, Shepherd. 4 in a row in this quarter for the Cats, 5 consecutive goals. Another one coming at the end of the first quarter.
But how good was the ball use from Johnson then to Christensen? Like, not many players would have been able to hit that kick.
50-point leaders as we approach half-time with Sarves. Martel looking down the line. Big heap of West Coast players here. Handball wasn't great. Corey. Little one. Cats everywhere at the moment. Mackie, good trap. Just a little fumble. Enright still able to kick the ball away though. Inside 50 there. Over around the footy was Walker. Slippery conditions. Heaviest part of the ground right here where the players are now. Mitch Brown pushed forward by Motlop. Selwood got it out.
West Coast.
West Coast free here. There'll be no 50.
I think in the second half, they're just going to try and find a little bit more run and overlap, the West Coast Eagles. Gaff's only had the 5 disposals. Shuey has only had 4, and they desperately need those 2 guys to provide that.
This is Carter here. Little handball off to Butler. He was a little slow in getting rid of it. Motlop got caught high. Wants to pay the advantage. Took the advantage. He can't stop now. Back to Stokes. Stokes snap around the corner. Brilliant. 5 second quarter goals.
What about that? Motlop's had a little bit of hamstring tightness, gets back on, takes on Darren Glass, and then sticks him with a don't argue, which you don't see happen very often at all. And Stokes under pressure, good enough to kick another goal. Just a complete and utter dominating first half of footy from this brilliant side.
Well, the Matty Stokes kicks the goal, but it was this pressure. James Kelly first, and then I think that was Alan Christensen getting the tackle. Matty Stokes ends up kicking the goal. Just first class inside 50 pressure by the Cats. That's what's got them this 56-point lead at the moment. Just their pressure. They haven't allowed West Coast to play their game at all in this first half.
Hey, Lingy, Stokes, Christensen and Motlop, what a great trio they are with their speed and skill.
Yeah, absolutely, Richo. Just their skill and their ability to break the lines with their run as well. And of course, they can win the ball in the contest as well.
But Lingy, is it also their work rate? They work up and back so hard.
Yeah, huge work rates on all of them, and that's what they pride themselves on, and that's what the players drive them to be better at, and they do a good job of it.
Joel Selwood got one given against his brother there. Drove it inside 50. Prittis now quickly to Wellingham. Saw Wellingham a moment ago apologised to Selwood for Joel Selwood actually giving me a little sort of whack to the mush area. He went up to him and said sorry, and Joel went, "That's okay, mate.
Yeah, I'll give you one back shortly. Don't worry about it. It's coming back your way." 8 of the last 10 inside 50s the Cats' way. 14 to 5 inside 50s this quarter. It's just a smashing on every level. I think I heard Chris Scott a while ago say we really had to sharpen up our defence. I'll come back to you on that because they have certainly improved that part of their game in the last 6 or 7 weeks as well.
Blitz arms to Kelly. Kelly a disciplined centering footy there. Motlop couldn't quite make it.
Yeah, Darcy, I think Chris Scott took it pretty personally when about a month or so back before the Fremantle game, they were questioned about their defence, and it's something that the club and him want to be known for, is their defensive side of the game, and he wasn't happy with it. A lot of people weren't happy with it, and they've had a big focus to fix it up, and it's what they're going to have to do if they're going to make a mark in September.
Since round 14, they're the #1 tackling team in the competition. They just asked them to do something. This side goes about doing it.
Have a look at all the players telling Stevie Johnson, slow down. I'd get out of Stevie's way and let him decide.
Is that too far for his snap around the corner, BT?
Well, where he is now, if he goes wide, it's probably too far, 50 metres. Looks like is he going the barrel there?
Nah, that's a drop.
Looks a bit like it, though.
It's a drop punch.
Yeah, it is a drop punt. Gee, he had one hand forward on the footy and one back, and it just looked a little barrel-y, but he's gone the drop punt. Time's going to beat them all. Wellingham is upended. Blitzarves is there. Mitch Brown, Wellingham again. He looked for the little handball inside. No one there. 6 seconds. Time ticking. Cats are the only ones that can score. 20 metres from their goal. They need a quick snap. They won't get it. Geelong in control of this one here at the moment.
Yeah, Bush just scratches his head. There's Neil Danaher at the back, and it's a strong word, but they'll be pretty embarrassed, the West Coast, with what they've been able to perform here in the first half. It's take nothing away from one of the all-time great sides who have just been incredible. Look at their body language. At that stage, we're cutting their socks off.
Yeah.
And they got
Nathan Brown was one.
Nathan Brown got told us.
They do not miss any of that stuff, do they?
Correct uniforms. They are sticklers, and why not? Prittis, what a flick of the handball out there to Shuey. Tried to run when he probably should have done what he just did then initially. Now he advances the footy. Gee, that was well picked up by Cripps. Now he's gone on the Bartel tackle. Ball stays thereabouts. Stokes, Varco. Selwood rode him into the ground. That'll be a Varco free, I would have thought.
Going to be interesting to see how West Coast respond. They're playing for a bit of respect here in the second half. A lot of judges, I'll put my hand up, had them in the top 4 this year, Richo. They've had injuries, so we can understand it, but we've got enough good players out there to be competitive tonight, and they're getting smashed.
How could you not have had them in the top 4 after last year? I mean, they're outstanding. A lot of things have transpired against them, injury and form, but yeah, they've been disappointing this year.
Vardy did well not to give away the 3 to Hill in his sprawling attempt there. Kelly just nurses the kick to Mackie. Fast hand, Stevie J. Little slip over the top. Great linking, running handball. Rivers, the finisher, the centre half forward. Opportunity here. Couldn't quite make it work. Murdoch. Glass. The All-Australian fullback. And just kept alive. Cox looking for running support. Didn't get a lot of it in the end. Remembering the subs in this game, of course, Embley was a late inclusion.
BT, can I just jump in on the subs there? Geelong has made their sub. It is Stevie Motlop who's been subbed out. A fantastic start to the game, but he's out. Doc touched on the fact he had a bit of a tight hamstring. There's Josh Caddy into the game now.
Yeah, just saw Caddy run on there. Good pick up, Lingy, as Wellingham comes off. Doc did mention the tightening of the hamstrings with Motlop. Doc, I guess, not prepared to take any risks there at all. As Enright comes out with the footy. Mackie now.
Thanks, Josh.
Well, why would you? You've got a commanding lead. He's become such an important player. 2 weeks out from finals.
Yeah, something's happened downfield here.
Don't
Let's have a listen.
Leave it.
Let's listen to this
Place you
conversation.
on report for striking, Dean. You're on report for a strike.
I reckon he's given him a little...
Okay, that was off the ball by about 80 metres. Selwood was the victim. That's Joel Selwood.
And brother Scott's gone past.
Place on report for striking.
And look at Dean Cox, can't believe it. And Scotty's gone past and given him the greatest golf fill you would ever like. The younger brother and just said, "You're soft, you've taken a dive."
Well, John.
Long way off the footy, this one. As Mackie makes a mess of it.
One of the great sledgers out there, Andrew Mackie, in a good way, like has a bit of fun. I reckon he'll be copping a bit for missing that one.
Yeah. And Dean Cox, not his nature to do anything nasty off the footy. I'd be very surprised if he cheap shot at Joel Selwood, but he's been reported.
He was having a bit of a giggle about it, so I just don't think it's anything too serious. Guthrie, nice clever tap to Stokes. Spin out of trouble, but in the end, Darling was able to get hold of it. Lots of runners here. Hill, inside 50, set sail for home, and that's a nice skinner. Get their first goal since the 23-minute mark of the first quarter.
Yeah, good work by the Eagles. It's the first time I can remember tonight where they've been able to put enough pressure on Geelong at half-back. Geelong love to flip the ball around with hands until they release someone and start their attacks from half-back. But the Eagles were able to force a turnover there. They had all the numbers and they get an easy goal as a result.
Nice running goal here to Josh Hill. They need to get more of that transition play through the middle of the ground and some goals and shots on the run. Dean Cox has been reported. It's a big story. Off the footy hit to Joel Selwood.
Kelly forward with the footy. Corey looks around the body, did it really well. Difficult situations. Podsy Hadley deliberately tried to palm it down to give Varco a chance. There's Caddy, the sub who's been activated. Back to Varco. Had great composure, control, the handball. Now Blitzarf's high ball's one. Offline.
Just been told that Dean Cox has been reported once before. BT and Richo and Lee, he was back in 2005 for striking Jamie Charman, the Brisbane ruckman. He could ask for a Jamie Charman. He was a real get-under-your-skin type of ruckman.
Oh, yeah.
Loved the physical stuff. Really good player, premiership player for Brisbane.
They're having a good laugh about it. Even Joel Selwood was smiling back at him like, I reckon there wasn't much in it.
No, it's not something that Dean Cox would do too often. I reckon every player in the AFL would say that he'd be one of the best blokes playing in the competition. There's a few you don't like, but I reckon everyone would love Dean Cox.
Give us some names, Lingy, if you can. The ones you don't like.
It's always easier saying the ones you do like, Brian.
Oh boy, Gaff. It would have made an interesting listening, Lingy, to hear you went through that list.
What do you think of Hayden Ballantyne, Ling? Is he on your list at all or not?
He's a cheeky little fella, Hayden Ballantyne, and sometimes deserves the...
Look at this. Stevie J's got the free downfield here because of that. A late soft hit.
Fair dinkum, like.
Now Stevie J.
Are we serious there?
He was 30 out. He started to line up sideways from this kick. Have a look at the angle. He was originally going to go sideways. Now gone the drop punt. 35 metres out. Just nurses the footy, and that just had a bit of piackaroon about it. Just a little bit of smarty pants in there.
Stevie J, I've heard him talking about why he snaps around the corner a lot, and he reckons for him, he has a higher percentage rate snapping around the corner than his set shots. He's had 2 set shots tonight with the drop punt and has missed them both, so I can see why he always wants to kick around the corner.
Hurried that one a little. Feels like he gets more connection with the footy, more boot on the ball.
Yeah, but you called it, BT. He second-guessed himself. He lined up for the snap, and then he thought, no, I better do the regulation thing, which he never does. Once he's made his mind up, he'll always go and do it.
Have a look at this guy. He's gone the first thought. This is around the corner, Selwood. It's one step off the mark. Umpire calls play on, and Selwood just nurses the footy through. As simple as that. Gee, that's well struck.
So Joel Selwood now gets another bag of 3 goals for a midfielder, Richo. That's how many times now? 4 times in the last 5 weeks.
4 in 5, yeah.
Incredible goal-kicking run he's on.
His 3rd bag of 3, and he kicked a bag of 4 as well, so
3 times in the last 4 weeks.
gee, that's good from the midfield. Just takes the pressure off your forward line when your mids are chipping in like the Geelong mids are. Look at that. It's a domination at the moment. 9 out of the last 10. And all of their goals have come from play.
Caddy the sub. I want to see if Lingy thinks he's cemented his place in the team. What do you think, Lingy? Caddy? Do you think he's found a permanent spot in this side?
I'm not sure about an absolute permanent. He's done a lot to give himself the best opportunity. I reckon he's still got to put a few more games together.
Here's Selwood for goal number 4. And I think he's got it. He's kicked 4, the little man, the skipper.
Well, that's his 2nd bag of 4 now. He's going for a career best tonight, Darcy. He'll kick 5 tonight. And if you kick 5 from the midfield, that's about as good as it gets, I reckon. It's the benchmark, 5 from the midfield.
Particularly when you do what he does as well.
Yeah.
Contested possessions, 5 tackles, 16 disposals, 4 goals. Fair performance. He's just got a real taste for kicking goals now, Joel Selwood. 4 goals tonight, kicked 4 the other week. A couple of bags of 3 to go with it. I reckon he's looking for 5. He's just loves pushing forward hard now. What a player.
Well, he's not being tagged now either. He's coming off the wing, and he's got young... So young Carter on him at that...
65-point lead at the moment as Richo just speaking in syllables at the moment. Richo, give us the 3rd syllable of that word.
I'm just sort of second-guessing myself as well at the moment. I'm actually speaking rubbish, so I'll just stop.
Just ordinary.
You've got to pull up when you know you're not doing very well.
That's a 50-metre penalty.
Trying to think of the analogy for 5 goals for a midfielder. Is that the equivalent of a... Is that what you're on about? Is that a 10-wicket haul in cricket?
Not quite.
Not quite.
In a match, it's like 5. It's like 10 or 12, I reckon, for a full forward. Brian did that once, I think.
Oh, probably a couple of... I can't remember, actually. Off hands. Ball comes to Schofield. Lets it rip from 55. Just off.
One of our old coaches, Das, reckoned that
every goal was worth 5 possessions.
Richo, just to jump in there, you can see Andrew Embley with the vest off. So West Coast are just about to make their sub. They haven't brought anyone off yet. I'll fill you in once they have, but Andrew Embley playing in his 249th game. He'd want to get involved and get himself up to 250 games before the season's out. Been a champion for West Coast.
Forward, long handball to Walker. Walker goes inside 50, looking for Blitzarves over the back. Murdoch was lurking around. Boundary line will probably beat them all. No, they keep it alive. Glass did well. Schofield with half a handball. Haven't found the boundary yet. Glass, eventually. Out of trouble to Schofield. High footy. Jack Darling took his eyes off the ball just at the last second there.
He's had a quiet night, Jack Darling. Just 4 possessions. Only 1 mark.
Here he is. 5th touch of the night. Darling is forced to kick boundary side. Cox is deep. Disposed of Guthrie. Couldn't hold on. Kelly with a clearing kick.
In Darling's defence, they've only had 20 inside 50s. Geelong have had 40. Doubled them on the inside 50s.
Centering ball to Pritis. Right on the new styling number 50s there. Look at that. The font is slightly different. It's Cox marks.
You can just see they're standing next to Dean Cox. Andrew Embley is in fact on the ground, and it's Luke Shuey who they've subbed off. He's had a very quiet night, only the 7 possessions, so they've decided enough for him and let Andrew Embley get out there and have a run around and see if he can get West Coast somewhat back into this game.
Narrow pockets here, BT. You get a good look from the boundary here.
He's got a really good look at this. We'll see the angle in just a moment as Cox, only about 30 metres out. There it is, a pretty good open face, and he's made a real good effort. Just missed it by a half a metre to the left. Just Andrew Embley, boys. He's named emergency for this game, Dars, which can't be a great sign for him, can it? I mean, he's either in or he's out.
Yeah, I think he's probably going to be in the mix, depending on the balance of their side, for whether or not he goes on next year. As Slingy pointed out, he has been a champion for West Coast, but he's probably 50-50 to go on next year.
I'll go one step further, Darcy, and I'll say that he will definitely retire come the end of the year.
Yeah, you think he's had enough?
I think he's had enough. I think he's been a great player for West Coast, but I think he's cooked.
Okay.
Lingy all over that. Yeah. Said that with surety, Lingy.
He's not only tonight cooking players that should retire, like we've just heard then, but also putting his list forward of players he dislikes.
Yeah. He's just really warming into this media, isn't he, Lingy?
I don't know why he wants to go coaching. He's just starting to learn to really fully pot people.
Let's get back to your list, Lingy, because I was starting to enjoy that. Hayden Ballantyne, we clearly worked out that you just would love to give one to.
I think we decided that I can happily list my favourite players I played against, but I'm going to pretend I didn't hear the question when it comes to the least favourite.
I think there's a few Collingwood players on his list, PT, from what I understand.
Just tightening up a little bit like our own Doc Larkins. Doc, I don't know whether you can hear us down there.
Yes, Brian.
Motlop, what do you think, Doc?
I just think good management over half-time, Brian. I don't think he started on the ground in the second half, so I think that discussion over half-time about some tightness, they would have said, let's just put the cue in the rack and give Josh Caddy some game time for 2 quarters.
Just give Lingy a whack there, Doc, and tell him to step forward with his most hated players.
Well, I know he's got a few that he had to tag that he didn't like tagging. He's told me that, but I don't think he'll name them publicly.
Just heard Dar say a few Collingwood boys. I'm not sure who that would be, but interesting. There's little Stokesy. Mid-air stuff, Enright did well. And a minor score, the result there. Oh boy, Lingy.
Getting waved off up here.
So I'm pretending as though I can't hear things at the moment, but I will say I did play against both Darce and Richo, and they do not appear on that least favourite list.
That's nicely said. Comforting, very comforting indeed.
I reckon you would have been high on a few people's lists, BT.
You think so? Yeah, thank you for that. Opportunity here for Christensen, who straightens up, got a nice pace of it, and kicks the Geelong goal, and he's hurt his shoulder as well. Is that Walker? In fact, Walker has hurt his shoulder.
He must have got bumped as he kicked it, did he?
I think it was, I don't think he actually kicked it, but I think Christensen kicked the goal, but Walker somehow got some damage from it.
Christian kicked the goal, but it was Josh Walker who's come off sore. And we might try and find out from the doc. Doc, looks like a shoulder issue. Is it for Walker?
I think it's a wrist, Das.
Okay.
Left wrist that they're checking at the moment. So he wasn't carrying the left arm well because he's cradling that left side. I'll keep an eye on it.
Darling. That's Walker that Doc speaks of. G. Bartel, before he gathered possession of the footy, had a bit of a look up. Smothered there by Rivers from the Kennedy kick was pretty impressive. There is Walker with that jumper and the wrist. Doc all over it, spot on. As he looks to have recovered a little. They're just having a look at the incident. I think they're on the replay screen as well themselves, the medicos, just to sort out what exactly happened. Johnson, the last line of defence, goes wide to Varco. Schofield points ahead and says, you take him, I'll get this guy.
This is just the Geelong play where they all roll up and then they just work back with superior work rate. They've done it all night.
Butler wanted to go boundary line there. Glass, they all turn boundary. There's McKenzie, boundary a friend in these pressure situations. McKenzie down the line. Hill overrunning the footy. Cox now pursued by Johnson. Boundary line close. Bartel, little feather touch to Johnson. Clever tap by Kelly. Now Gaff under some Guthrie pressure. Embley to the West Coast Selwood. Now Embley another little kick and short footy. Umpire said play on, not enough, that'll be out of bounds. And the boundary umpire raised his whistle.
A lot of Geelong players desperate to put their best foot forward, but I think that man there, Richo, Jared Rivers, only his 5th game for the Cats, played 149 for Melbourne. He would just be sensing a great finish to his career if he could hold on and get a permanent spot and maybe play finals. It's a massive opportunity for him.
Cripps inside 50, Darling. Flicked it back into the path of Kennedy, pursued by Lonigan. Let go of the footy. Kennedy went and got it. His man dropped off, isn't Rivers. Handball by Lysette. Gaff. Kennedy was a little close to him. Need a desperate goal here in the end.
Advantage.
A high tackle on the advantage paid for the Cats. How close to their best side, Lingy, are the Cats at the moment? Who's not playing tonight? We know Hawkins is out of the side, of course, and Stringer was also out of this selected side. Who else have they got?
Well, the only other real possibility is Paul Chapman and how he comes through playing VFL again this weekend, and if he gets a couple of games in the AFL under his belt, he could still have an impact come finals, but I think they're getting pretty close to it now, BT. Maybe Josh Hunt, maybe Taylor Hunt, but getting pretty close.
Okay, so probably in the end for those last position or two, horses for courses sort of attitude, wouldn't it, Richo Das?
Yeah, apart from Chapman, who Lingy mentioned, he's the one, if he gets himself right. How's he travelling, Lingy? He had one game in the VFL or 2 games?
He's had 2 games now and got through both of them quite well, and the second game actually played some really good footy, I think. Talking to Chris Scott, he was pretty close to coming over to Perth, but they decided to have one more game there, and I think they'll definitely try and get him a game next week in the Lions.
Getting a little impatient, Chappie, I would imagine.
Oh, I reckon he might be, Brian. He loves being out there.
Not a VFL operated chap. I don't think he'll enjoy that.
He's a first-class operator, and we need him out there.
He probably needs a couple, though, don't you? So he's got 2 weeks, so he has to come back next week if he wants to play finals, you'd think.
He's Guthrie, the man that Lengy thinks is probably competing with Josh Hunt to a certain degree for a position there, the young versus old. So getting things together at the right end of the year, this mighty Geelong side.
Look at that.
Yeah, perfect to Taylor, and Taylor just inches that footy towards Christensen. Couldn't get the mark in the end. Gaff through. Blitzards with a nice tackle, trying to steal it there, Christensen.
It was a good kick to Taylor, but Lysett just let him run past him too. He needed to be switched onto that. He let Harry Taylor come past, and then he realised, and it was too late.
What are you thinking, Das, about this Cats lineup? Do you think they're to be feared come September?
Yeah, I'm telling you, who will fear them is Hawthorn. They won't want to meet them in a final at all. Their record is 12 wins in a row that the Cats have beaten them since 2008. It's incredible. They aren't good enough to beat anyone, and they're good enough to win another grand final. No problems there at all. The ruck was a bit of an issue for me, but I love the combination they've got tonight. I think Blitzarves and Vardy are very dangerous. They work hard. I think they probably would stick with those two now going into the finals as well.
Caddy trying to sell foot candy. There was a standoff at the OK Corral. Prittis, little dribbler. Bartel gobbled it up and spiralled it on the head of Podsy Adley. Coming deep over the top was Vardy.
Hawkins is the missing link, Richo, for me. Such an important player. Just so good to have a big gun go-to forward. That's the question mark. They need him fit for me to go all the way.
Well, they got all their goals tonight from play, basically. In finals, you would think at some stage you need a forward who can take a mark.
Just on Hawkins, we were told all year that it couldn't get any worse.
Yeah.
It couldn't get any worse, and he can keep playing. And well, it did get worse, and it has got worse to the point where he couldn't bend at all. So they were wrong with what they were telling him and us, perhaps.
Yeah, bulging discs are funny things. They really can't tell for sure. I mean, you're right for 1 minute, and then conditions change a little bit. So
They wouldn't have been playing him though.
What do you mean? They did play him, Richard, and it got worse.
No, but if they were thinking it was getting worse, they wouldn't have been playing.
You saw the pictures last week, exclusive, and so you saw the fact that he could not even bend over at all last week.
Yeah, it was very bad last week, but you can't tell me the Geelong medical staff would have been putting him out there if they thought he was going to get worse.
Well, I'm just saying he did get worse.
Well, Lingy, you spoke to him during the week, and what was his answer to it? What did he say?
His answer was that it was week by week. One week he'd feel great, another week he'd feel pretty ordinary. I think like last week where it obviously came to a head, but I think a couple of games this year he's been the dominant force we've come to know from Tommy Hawkins, and that's the days where he could really move well, and he had the mobility and he didn't have any restriction whatsoever. So a bit of a week-to-week thing. I think skipping this game, or not skipping it, being managed through this game is a good move. Just to freshen up physically, freshen up mentally, and allow him to launch into 2 more games and obviously finals after that. He's going to play an important part come the end of the year. You're right, you need a big forward who can stand up and take a strong grab.
He sent a couple of tweets through tonight, Lee. He says, thanks everyone for the kind message. This is Tom Hawkins. I've had a great week, so I should be back next week. And then he followed up with, however, spot might not be there for me. How good are the boys playing tonight?
I think there'll be a spot there because he ripped the grand final to pieces a few years ago. And you do need a big forward that can take a mark in the big games.
Stevie just blindsided a little there. Knew Bartel was slightly behind him, so he had great awareness.
It's a couple of times tonight Stevie J's had someone sneak up on him. He's normally got the best 360 vision in the game.
Kennedy. Dalziel's heading to goal if he can get enough purchase on and get it over the top. Dalziel can just hold, and he got in the back a little too obvious there on Stokes. There's the little hand in the back.
You can see the hand in the back there, obvious free kick. Just talking about Tommy Hawkins, guys, he still had a good year at BT. He still kicked the 45 goals, which is, as a forward, you'd be happy with that. You'd take that. I think he probably suffers a little bit from the unbelievable standards he set in the previous 18 months. So he still contributed, still played some really good footy.
Don't misunderstand me. I'm not saying he hasn't been a valuable contributor and a very good player. I'm just saying that we were told that it wasn't getting any worse, and it did last week look to take a turn for the worse. And
did Geelong actually say that, or is that just the assumption that's been made?
No, I think we heard through their medical staff, Richo, that that it wasn't going to get too bad. Here's Christensen. Doc Larkin will go for a comment there in a moment. Just see what Murdoch does with this. Sprays it a little left, although it's bent back and he's goal. So Murdoch gets it.
Another great goal, another transition running goal. And that's been the story of the night, really. Just had far too much speed on the outside. Transition, ball use, and just been phenomenal. Nearly all of their goals have just come from general play, really.
And he's just another one, Richo, that's desperate to find a spot in the side too, isn't he, Murdoch?
Good finish from Murdoch. Demanded the footy there, was given it by Christensen and finished very, very strongly. 4 in a row this quarter for the Cats. Doc Larkins, Tom Hawkins, what do you think?
Yeah, what the club's been saying is the bulging disc hasn't got any worse or bigger during the year. What comes and goes is the inflammation and the stiffness, and that's what they were saying. It's a good week, then a bad week. The actual condition doesn't change. It's just the inflammation process, and the flight to Perth was the determining factor this week, BT.
Doc, what else can you do for a bulging disc? What are the options?
Well, he's doing Pilates, he's doing swimming, he's doing lots of core work, and he's taking some anti-inflammatories for the inflammation. The bulge itself just stays there, and will be there in 10 years' time.
Ultimately, it's a fusing, isn't it, Doc, to cure something like that?
No, only if the disc is completely gone, Brian. So once he's got no disc at all, the two vertebrae are unstable and they might fuse him then. But he's just a bulge, and that's...
Doc Larkin's all over it there, telling it as it is. And some of the supporters here getting a little upset at this. Sucked it in, made no attempt to knock it out once he dragged it in. Perhaps that's what they were upset about. Johnson. Side 50, Embley to Glass. Was willing to give the handballers Glass. That was a poor kick, meant to be in front of Kennedy. He had to go back and try and trap it. Gee, Bartel went in, took the legs of Shepherd.
He's paid a slide there, still, which is a ridiculous call.
Still getting hard to get used to that, because every other year for the last 100 years we've been going, how tough was Bartel and Brave?
We didn't touch him, he came up with clean possession of the footy.
Seriously, every footballer in Australia watching that would have in the past gone, gee, how good was Bartel? Now it's a free kick.
Free kick to Scotty Selwood here, BT. One of the biggest overreactions.
Blood rule, West Coast. I've got time.
In the game is, we look at a couple of free kicks coming up. Let's have a look at this one, pushing the back to Lonergan. And now here's the one we're talking about. Tell, clean possession of the footy. And comes up with the ball.
Well, that took his legs.
Yeah,
that was a dangerous
BT, but I just reckon the rule change was the biggest overreaction in the game.
It was to one injury, really.
We had one bad injury.
But they can only adjudicate on the rules they've been given.
Correct. But I think the rule change was way over the top. What you do, on a dangerous situation, if you injure someone, you report someone and you suspend them, and then it becomes a duty of care. What they've created is this second guessing of players. You don't know whether you can attack the footy anymore. And it's confusing for everyone concerned. If you're reckless and you injure someone, get reported. If not, you're allowed to attack the ball exactly the way Jimmy Bartel did.
The umpire adjudicated it properly.
Yeah.
We're not arguing that.
Selwood comes in. That is online, and target hit. And he kicks the goal there. Second of the quarter here. Back to a 70-point margin as the two Selwoods have just a little bit of chitter-chatter between them.
Then you hear other people argue saying, oh, well, you should hold your feet, you should keep your feet. So you can argue it both ways. But
it's all about protecting the player. That's why the rule was brought in, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, but
and it's hard to find sometimes when it's a line ball decision. Now, you look at that and you say, well, could that have injured his knee? Yeah, possibly, but it's unfair.
At footy clubs, though, over the last 20 years, the coaches have always said, we want you to go lower and harder than the opposition, and that's what it is there.
We didn't have cars at one stage, we didn't have motorbikes and push bikes, but now we've got them. We didn't have TV, but now we've got it, Richo. So things move on and you've got to go with it.
Soccer have got that sorted out. There's a thing called a dangerous slide in soccer, where you stick the boots in and you get a 15-week ban. And then you can slide without danger and you don't get anything at all. I think
you stick with the V-switch used to.
Brian, that was absolute garbage you just spoke there.
Unbelievable. Well, Richo, come on, just stay with it, man.
Use the sheep, by the way.
You're a modern sort of snaggy sort of operator. just stay with it and go with the flow, and eventually it'll sort itself out. Bartel with a little poker. We're just going to see a completion of this quarter in Geelong. We're going to be up by 70 points. This is a good old walloping. That box there, very, very happy with what they have seen so far, because Geelong 15-9, 99 lead the West Coast Eagles 4-5-29. Three-quarter time it is, as the Selwoods sort it out. Do not go anywhere. Stay with us. We've got a quarter to go in this game. Some unusual happenings in this game here tonight. The Cats are certainly going to consolidate their top-end finish here without any question whatsoever. And I reckon if you're a Geelong at the moment, gee, You'd be very nervy, wouldn't you? A last quarter footy against West Coast in Perth, injuries, so close to finals.
Do you know what I think Chris Scott does really well? He gets a balance between young players fighting for their survival in this team and older players. So the hunger's always there. And Lee explained to us earlier that the 50-50 decision, he'll always err on youth. So if he's split between two players, Josh Hunt and Cam Guthrie gets the go-ahead. And the young players, they don't let up, BT. They just go as hard at the start of the game as they do at the end.
Oh, I saw Walker, who hurt his shoulder at three-quarter time, insisting to the coach that he was good to go. And the coach probably saying, no, you need to back off. And Walker knows that this is his opportunity. And he can't afford not to play Murdoch. So you're right. He just has a great sense at getting the best out of the old and the young by perfection in timing. Here's Caddy. Here's a player that's given them something different this year. Started the night as a sub, came on in that third quarter and has looked promising at various stages. Mitch Brown.
Could Jared Rivers hold a permanent spot, Lingy, into the finals? Is he about to contest for this one now? Do you think he's in their best 22?
I think they want him to be in their best 22, but he's got to put the form out on the ground to make sure that he does get picked. But I know they are keen to have him because of that versatility we spoke about earlier on in the game, because he can free up an Andrew Mackie and because he can and play a variety of roles. But he's got to make sure he does the job first.
Well, he's done the job tonight. He's done whatever's been required of him tonight. So got another couple of weeks to prove his place in the Geelong team.
Corey a long ball, Ponzianelli in front. Guthrie says, get out of the way. Murdoch in there as well.
The way the Geelong midfield gets back and helps their defence as well, it makes it a lot easier for their defenders.
Got Sydney and Brisbane to finish the year off with Geelong, both down there at their home track, Simmons Stadium. So they're in a really nice position. No more travel for them. Prudas tries to don't argue on his opposing number. Embley high ball off hands of Kennedy. Stevie J across the front of the pack. A no-looker out the side to Bartel, who goes very direct and finds Embley.
It's where the Eagles have struggled tonight. The 50-metre penalty will help them, but they win the ball back, but they just haven't been able to get their transition going at all. Shuey's been subbed out of the game. Gaff's had a quiet night, and that's where their run comes from, and it just hasn't been there tonight.
Prudis. A really ordinary kick. He had McGinnity wide. Surely that was where he was trying to go or not. Varco to Enright. Enright mungles one inside the forward end. Now Gaff looking to complete the switch. And slow play. Never really in the game here tonight. 2 first quarter goals came towards the end of the first quarter after Geelong led by 30.
Darling's had to come all the way down to his defensive 50 to get him touched tonight. They just haven't had it in their forward half enough. 28 inside 50s.
West Coast's biggest loss this year, I think, was 50 points, maybe to Hawthorn, I think it was. And at the moment, they are 70 down here, so this is their biggest margin of the year that they've given away.
Got some good players. World Cup starts, West Coast. Shannon Hurn would play this side. Mark Lacra's an absolute gun. They miss him. Nikoski, I think, is probably their best team. Beau Waters as well would definitely play when he's fit. So Nick Nananui's the main one too that they miss as well. So,
and it appears they're going to do a deal with Worsfold. He's looking more and more confident to us. It was only 6 or 7 weeks ago where we thought he was almost certain to leave, but he now looks like he really wants the position.
I feel like that's a change of heart.
Yeah,
I feel like that was not going to happen, but clearly the respect he's held in is that the decision's up to him.
And he said in our pre-game tonight that it's just a matter of the two parties getting together now to work out the deal, because they both want the deal. So, interesting stuff for the West Coast coach.
He'll go into his 13th season if he goes on next year.
Yep. There's Rivers, and we spoke of earlier. Selwood has been really impressive tonight. 4 goals. as a midfielder. And we were talking before, where does 4 or 5 goals as a midfielder fit in terms of, is it a 10-goal haul from a forward? Is it a 5-wicket haul from a cricketer? Where does it fit?
Well, he's going to probably end up with 30. He's got 25 now. He's kicked 4 goals. You can't do much more than that.
There's Walker.
Here's this transition again. Look at this. It's just
Mackie.
too easy.
The pod pointed to Blitzarves. He said, "You Shepherd, I'll get the goal." And Blitzarves wasn't sure about that deal initially.
Yeah, well, seniority ruled there, BT. They both could have raffled that, and Blitzarves just had to concede that the senior man will take the goal every time. And then he ran and just socketed it through the J-pod. But once again, just half back, the transition through. We've been saying it all night. Just an easy goal for Geelong.
Andrew Mackie going long there, and I can tell you he will be filthy with James Podsiadly. That was rolling through for a goal, and Pods has just decided to cherry pick it and pop one through for himself. But Andrew Mackie will be letting him know all about it after the game.
Lingy, you've got to make sure.
Yeah, I don't think like a forward, Lingy. That ball could have bounced in any direction.
Could you imagine? Either man alongside of me, Lingy let go. BT, he would have dived, smothered it and picked it up and snapped it over his head. Richo, no chance. Richo would have let that go.
Did you spot Angus Momfrey's leg spinner in Adelaide a few weeks ago? That could have happened then, Darce. You've got to make sure of it.
Yeah, exactly. You never quite know where the goals are.
Should have expected it, Darce, that the full forwards had jumped right all over me.
It's all me up here.
If he had let that and it bounced the wrong way, Chris Scott would have been furious at him.
Yeah. Wellingham down the line. Kennedy, good jukey grab. 60 out, 75, 60 to 65 out. Short ball into Cox. Got a hand on it, did Harry Taylor. Johnson was looking for the give and go, didn't get it back off Caddy. Caddy ends up with it now though and tried to wince the kick through to Lonigan, missed him. His handball smothered. Selwood went back and got it, gave it to Prittis. Look at him come. Look at the frontal pressure coming from the Cats. They just keep coming at him. Boy. Kennedy. Swift give out to Cripps. And now Cox forward inside 50. Off hands, Bartell's got to beat 3, 4, 5 West Coast Eagles players. And he did it. Impressive stuff. Selwood to Johnson. Johnson, the half volley pickup was nice. Harry Taylor dribbling. Mitch Brown, ball going nowhere at the moment. Just sloppy affair here.
Here we go. Now, this is bouncing.
Any which way.
Who's to say that can't take a right turn?
I was bouncing through.
Perhaps we shouldn't have gone with that replay, Richard.
No, well, I didn't ask for it. I just got thrown up there.
Yeah.
Didn't help you.
It didn't help my argument, but anyway. Only 3 marks conceded tonight inside their defensive 50, Geelong. Great defensive effort against a team that's the best in the comp at taking marks. So,
what about the 2 Selwoods there? They just followed each other to the bench. And the Geelong Selwood sat down and the other Selwood said, "Come on, keep going with me." Went all the way to the boundary line with him, and now he's gone back into the thick of it in the middle. That was quite funny. Clever tap, Bartel, Caddy and Johnson all combining here at half-back, and now Corey. Corey to the middle, takes the risky penetrating kick. Mackie had hands on it, couldn't win it. In the end, it's Carter. Over the head of Kennedy. Darling. Gee, I'm not sure whether he called for it, Stokesy, but the handball couldn't have been any better from Darling to him. And right down the middle, had nothing on, so he just had to retreat, buy a bit of time. Duncan. Short to the runner, Mackie. Mackie looks up, little chip over the top, tries to draw someone to the footy. McKenzie told to play on as he mungles one forward to the advantage of Kennedy, but the boundary line will beat him.
just saw the uncontested possession numbers come up on the screen. 80 more for Geelong, and it just means they've worked harder, pushed harder into space with their
run all night.
Duncan.
Play on.
He's Shepherd. Did he get cramp then, or was it a hamstring? I reckon it was cramp. Yep. And now Vardy fighting for the footy. Has to force it out. I reckon the players at the moment, in their minds, they just want this game to be over with. And they're playing like that at the moment.
Yep, it is a bit like that.
Almost the mercy rule now.
Yep, trying to limit the damage.
Thank you. Yeah, come on. James, give me the footy.
Well, he doesn't have to give it to your umpire until he's ready. Boy, umpire, he was still getting to his feet. He was going to throw it on his... He was lying down. Rivers.
That's what he's always been good at, Jared Rivers. Intercept marking. Reads the play really well. This will be good for his confidence tonight.
Jared Rivers, you mean?
Yeah.
Only played the 5 games in total this year. Lingy says he needs footy in his legs. He's got 2 games to come to finish off.
Well, with Lonergan and Harry Taylor down there, if he takes the 3rd tall, he can come off and intercept mark. He can be a handy player for Geelong.
Scotty Selwood, that was his 10th tackle that he's laid in the game. 23 possessions, kicked a goal. I think a few of his teammates might want to play footy with this sort of urgency, because he has really stood out from a West Coast point of view. There haven't been many of his mates that have gone as hard as he has tonight.
There. Might hold a funny little kick by Mackie, trying to give it off to Murdoch. Gaff. Guthrie. The back to Brown. McGinnity now. Little kick into centre half-back. Releases Butler. They find Wellingham in the middle, although he couldn't control the footy. Wellingham, his recovery was good enough to get it to Kennedy. Kennedy can go over the top to Embley. Getting back, they knocked the ball away from Embley. Now he's got to go back and get it. Handball's a little heavy for something that was so close, and in the end, they've messed it up.
What about Joel Selwood there? Back with the flight, pirouetting spoil, like he's on grand final day, and it's the last inside 50 to win the game. I just don't know any other way, the Selwoods.
Well, have a look at this. I mean, Andrew Mackie, look at the players. They just... It's like they've all stopped.
This is the flattest stadium I can remember being.
This is amazing.
The West Coast fans, they're not used to getting smashed by 76 points. There's 35,000 in the house, and they're stunned.
Guys, I'm interested in your thoughts on, can West Coast relaunch again next year? We all thought that they were going to be premiership contenders perhaps this year. Have they got the list that can actually get themselves back in a position where next year they're a chance, or the year after?
You can only judge on what you can see tonight, Ling. It's a really good question, isn't it? Because to me, suddenly there's gaps and holes. They look slow tonight, West Coast. They haven't got the ability to break the lines, and that happens when you're playing poorly. But I'm not sure where Daniel Kerr's at in his career. I think you probably pointed out Embley retires next year, so there's a bit of depth gone out of your side straight away. They've got to get Gaff and Shuey back to their absolute best, but there's a few worries at the moment.
Full year for Wellingham, they'll be good, won't it? Yep, next year.
Upside. They've got Collingwood next week at the G, the West Coast Eagles. And they'll finish off the year with Adelaide back here at this venue.
Fit Mark Lacroix makes a massive difference to the side. I mean, it was their forward line you looked at the start of the year and you thought, good luck stopping Kennedy, Darling, Lacroix, Cox and Natanui going forward. But
I just reckon next year that if they can try and find, a smaller crumbing type forward, Lacroix can be that man, but he's also a lead mark player as well. So they're elite at marking the ball inside 50. They've just got to find a few goals from other ways.
There might be a little Carlton small forward on the market potentially. Got a few.
Oh, absolutely. Here's Wellingham. Wanted to go.
He's had a good night, Sharon.
Did he really want to go, BT? Is that the old, just asking the experts here, the old fake, I want to give the handball over the top, but...
Don't be so cynical, Lingy. Just because you're a ragged old tagger.
Lingy, come on, mate. It used to be a full forward, Lingy. What happened to you?
I know, I've changed.
Something happened to you.
Wellingham to get it back to an even 70 points. He's been pretty good tonight, and he comes in and kicks this goal for West Coast.
He's had a career-high 9 clearances tonight, Sharp Wellingham. 27 disposals and a goal.
A few West Coast fans have stuck around and they're trying to salvage a little bit of something out of tonight.
Some of the fans thoroughly enjoying themselves here, even though their side is down at the moment. Probably not what they come to see, but making the most of their dollars spent at the gate tonight. Selwood definitely wanted the give and go then. Handball's a little bit short from Duncan, but went back and got it. Varco. Now Duncan cuts a hole through him. There's a kick down in the goal square. It'll go to Geelong in the goal square. I think no, it'll go to West Coast, will it? Yes, it will. The umpire was a little confused, so it'll come back to where the kick was.
Just noticed up here in the commentary box, BT, Richo's body language just changed for the worse in the last minute. Message has just come through that for the 3rd week in a row now, they normally alternate Lingy and Richo who goes to the loser's room. Richo's just thrown his pen down. He said, that's 3 weeks in a row that I'm going to the loser's room.
Don't carry on.
There's a little tantrum up here, BT. I think we need to discuss it. Lingy just says, I'm going to Geelong. That's what happens when Geelong wins.
I did offer to go to the West Coast rooms.
Well, you should, Lingy.
When the
Not
team
true.
calls to send me to Geelong, then I've got to go there.
You need to learn about other clubs, Lingy, and get a look.
For a bloke who was selfless on the ground, Lingy, he's been pretty selfish in his commentary role, I'll tell you.
Starting to unravel a little bit Saturday night too.
He's got a little me about him, Lingy, when
Only
he's
thinks of himself on commentary night, Lingy.
when talking TV. Boy.
When the Cats win, Lingy just says, I go down there because they only want to speak to me.
Yeah, it's almost like he still thinks he's
He wobbles his way in there too.
I was talking to a Cats player the other day, and
they're sick of him, I think.
Yeah, we've just seen a bit too much of the former Premiership Cup holder.
Got to let go, Lingy.
You blokes are kidding yourselves. I can't wait to get up there and just have a nice little chat to a few of you boys. Darcy, you've been all right.
Well said, Lingy.
Pods was aiming and looking for a 3rd goal. Went the bullet past without any little sort of dip on the footy. Need to just give it a little bit more air. Now Cox. Enright gets a good bounce here. He's away, but he doesn't.
He's had a good day today, Lingy. The Cats have won. Attended a few functions before the game, and Armagard needed to reel him out of there.
Just did the rounds to say good day to a few Geelong supporters based in Perth, Richo. Just doing the team.
Never seen a man so willing to come early to Perth for all sorts of reasons, Lingy. Boy. Lysette. Geelong under pressure. Kennedy bearing down on Bartel. Darling it was, in fact. Bartel wins the day. Darling let him soccer. Stevie J gets rid of one. Sliding under the footy was Mitch Brown.
Been a tough night for forwards. Josh Kennedy hasn't kicked a goal tonight, only the 2nd time for the year, but that leaves Jeremy Cameron in front. Coleman medal with 2 games to go.
So that's the one that is a dangerous slider.
Yeah, there is a good example of why the rule's in, isn't it?
And I think you can differentiate between it. That's one where you get a warning, you get a free kick paid against, but the one where you don't make contact, I think they overcooked it at the start of the year, I think.
And the real difference is there that Jimmy Bartel in the earlier one actually took possession of the ball. He went there to win the ball. That one, even though it was a contest, he didn't get the ball and he just took the legs of Stevie Johnson, and that's the real dangerous one. I agree with you there.
Right there, Richo. Josh Kennedy no longer leading the comment.
Sorry, boys, you were talking over the replay, but yeah, Jeremy Cameron's in front with the Coleman with 2 to go as a 19-year-old. What an unbelievable effort.
Podsiadly.
James, play on.
High ball, inside 50. No winner in the air, so this game almost in slow motion at the moment. Duncan to Caddy, a little bender. Says, damn it. So just under 3 to go here. Smith brings the footy back into play. Podsiadly in amongst it. Brown went without the footy. Stevie J there. Little handball. Motlop was the player that was subbed out of this game tonight. Handball comes to Johnson. He really wanted that one and missed it to the left as the pressure came from the right.
35 possessions, Stevie J tonight, and it's just
sneaked up on us, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Leading possession getter on the ground, Stevie Johnson. Tonight. Shepherd. Good looking footy wide. A really good footy. Now Schofield around the corner. Darling presents and marks in front of Guthrie. Gets the boxies there, Jackie boy.
That's the first mark for Kennedy or Darling inside 50 tonight. So they're two key forwards.
Really?
Yeah, so it just shows you how good the defensive effort has been at the Geelong team.
There was a bit of Bronxies about that.
That's not fair. He hasn't had many opportunities inside 50.
Kicked 40 goals this year, coming off 53 the year before. I don't think you'd be giving him the Bronxies in a real hurry.
No, that's not right.
Darling from a pretty kickable position. And he nails it. Consecutive goals for West Coast.
Highly talented young player, Jack Darling. Hasn't been his night tonight. Footy hasn't come down with any great system, but he continues to work hard. He runs, covers the ground. Just found the going a little bit tough tonight against one of the best teams going around.
So there's the run home for the Cats. And they've got both of these at Simmons Stadium. Sydney and Brisbane. Sydney, I think, the last side to beat them down at that venue, I think.
I think they'll enjoy it.
That's correct, BT. I think in the only time they've lost in about 35 games down there, and it was Sydney. So they'll go down there very confident. What a game that'll be, because that'll almost be for second spot on the ladder, assuming that Sydney beat St Kilda, of course, tomorrow.
Well, they've won 41 of their last 42 down there, so I think it's pretty safe to say that they're going to wrap them up.
Yeah, no doubt. They're just about unbeatable down there, Geelong.
Gaff into the last minute of play. Have not kicked 3 goals in a quarter in this game. West Coast, and they have an opportunity right now to do that. Darling saying the ball's pinned on my back. You can't possibly penalise me. And Dean Margetts points that out.
Gee, it's a good example here now. Probably the last ball up of the game. All the Geelong forwards have pushed right down again. Not getting lazy, continuing to work right till the end of the game.
Gee, they were sharp early on this very thing that Richo just mentioned there.
That's what won them the game early.
Yeah, it was.
Just getting back and then their transition.
West Coast's lowest score at Subiaco ever is 48 points. That was in 2008 against the Cats. 47 points, actually. They might have a record here tonight they don't want.
Well, they're at 41 at the moment, so 47-point low score, I think you said, Dar. So that's certainly under threat here now, because we're down to the last 12 seconds of this game. And it's going to be a massive win for Geelong, who in horse terms were easing up a fair way out, I reckon. Siren sounds. Geelong by 66 points here tonight.
We are Geelong, the greatest team of all. We are Geelong, we're always on the ball. We play the game as it should be played, and all goes far away.
Selwood.
I've got a bit of a bloodied Joel Selwood. How is the beat?
It's never been very good, so I'm sure it won't hurt it too much.
It wasn't Scott who got you, but you two just, you don't stop at each other. It's a bit of brotherly love, as we know, but it just feels like that one wants to get on top of the other. Is that the case?
Oh, that's the case. And I mean, he's a younger brother, so I have to make sure I keep him honest.
It was a sensational win, really set up with a quality burst at the start of the game. Was that the focus to get off to a really good start tonight?
Yeah, we haven't travelled well, probably for the last couple of times that we've been away. So we come here together tonight and we played really well, and just good to get a full quarter performance.
Well done, mate. Great job tonight. Great work.
14 goals in 5 games for that man there, Joel Selwood. That is unbelievable from midfield. And here's the two brothers that played on each other tonight. Joel saying, "Pat, mate, we got you there, and I got you."
It's a nice little clip over the ear to send him off on his way too to Scott. Plenty of mutual respect between all these great players out there. Let's get back down to Lingy.
I've grabbed the man who was subbed off. Motty, tell us, please tell us, is the hammy all right?
Yeah, it's all good. I've never had one in my life, so just being cautious, Lingy.
Just a bit tired, is that the reason the decision was made at half-time?
Yeah, I was due for sort of get subbed off in the next couple of weeks too, to just have a bit of a rest, so thought I'd do it now.
We just spoke with Sel about the fact that the game was set up really early on with your fantastic start, and you were one of the ones who led the way there. The running, the ability to transition from deep in defence all the way down the ground was just sensational. That's something that you just absolutely love, isn't it?
Yeah, it's great. Having Travi back too really helps, and we really wanted to drive that this week on a big ground and just take the game on and get it in deep to our forwards, and they can do the work.
After you were subbed off, have you gone and put a bit of bling back in the ears, mate?
Yeah, I'll put them straight in, mate, you know.
Brilliant, mate. Great work tonight, mate.
Oh, boy. Motlop just putting the earrings in, mate, during the game.
He is the sort of player that can do that. That's what we expect.
I love that's unprecedented. He's got the red vest on. He's gone for the diamond studs. He said, "I'm good enough to pull it off," and he is.
Well done, Stevie Motlop. He was simply sensational early in this game. No question about it. Doc referred to his tightening of the hamstrings. Let's hope that that is all it is. Workmanlike performance here tonight for the Cats, getting it done by 66. They'll be pretty proud of themselves, and Das, they're going to be really, really hard to get hold of come September, aren't they?
They've had a great ability to time their run well, Richo, to give players rest at the right period of time, and I think with 2 home games they are now in great shape. Tom Hawkins back next week. They are set for a massive finals campaign coming up.
Yeah, everyone's coming right at the right time of the year. They're playing awesome footy. They do it every 2 years.
Yeah.
7, 9, 11, 13. Who knows? And they finished second on the ladder, top 2. They're as good a chance as anyone, BT.
Stokes are just getting the chair for the 150 there. Do you get a 150 chair, Das and Richo?
Don't think 150 was...
don't think you quite get chairs for 150.
He didn't. He got down pretty quickly, Stokes.
200? 200,
yeah, we'll give you the 200. 150 is just a little sort of nice milestone.
It's nice and wide open, I reckon, the premiership race. Hawthorn.
Well, Hawthorn, Sydney, Geelong can all win it.
Freo are going to be really tough if they can somehow pinch a top 2. It might be hard now with Geelong having their 2 games at home.
But Fremantle, with what they've got to come, they've got, of course, Melbourne, Port and St Kilda. So, you know, I'd be surprised if they didn't win all 3 of those. Freo Dockers.
I think they'll enjoy this one tonight, Cats. I think they'll give this one a bit of extra volume. They win every week, so they're used to seeing it, but I think they'll enjoy this interstate win over here tonight. How'd you hear that?
The boys are into him.
This has been a Fox Footy presentation.